Peace, 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 peace. I feel like I have not recorded a video in forever, but that's relative, right? So if you looked at the thumbnail for this video, I am Adia Blackman, and I always say a bunch of superlatives at the close of the video, but I am a healer trained in an initiated priest, a licensed minister, different modalities, yoga, Reiki, Thai massage, all those things, a singer, a writer, all those things just to say is I'm using my spirit to give to others in consistent, with the purpose of healing myself and healing others. So along with that, in June of 2024, I started a journey that let me see manifestation unfold. You know, there's a lot of videos on YouTube and there's a lot of videos on IG and TikTok and all the interwebs, all the social things that talk about manifestation, actualization, and all these things. And even before social media, many of us heard those things in our churches. We would hear, maybe those words may not have been used, but there was prophesying, there was confirmation, all the things that some of the church mothers would say as they were giving you messages about what was coming in your life. So not this past week, the prior week, I returned from Bali. And the trip was the first of many retreats that I led, that I organized and served as guide for. And it was a beautiful unfolding of manifestation for me. And it was so lovely and rich in so many different ways that it has taken me a solid week to sit down and record about it. One of the reasons it took me a solid week is because the name of the retreat is Mama Burnout. So I can't put that on. I don't think I can cuss like that on YouTube. I'm not sure, but I'm not going to try. So F Mama Burnout is what the name of the trip was. And it didn't start with, let me name this retreat F Mama Burnout. But one of the reasons it was named that is even when I returned from the trip, I hit the ground running. So I came back from Bali, got to where my vehicle where I had parked it for the week, jumped right in the vehicle, came home, and my beautiful 12-year-old son was turning 13, the last of the non-teenagers in the house. So he was turning 13, and I came home to 5 preteen and teenaged boys playing real hard and stinking real good in my house. And my daughters were away at a theme park with one of their friends. So there was no easing back in. It was like, pow, let's go. And I'm not upset. You know, it's my beautiful children. I'm happy. There was just no adjustment. Bali is 12 hours ahead of Eastern Standard Time. So I'm not sure how confused my body's time clock was in Bali or how confused it was coming back, but there was no bridging the gap. It was just, let's jump right in. So I get back and I pick up my daughters from the theme park and I bring them home to the birthday party in progress. And I light incense all over the house because, as I've said, these are burgeoning young men and they don't smell themselves, but we could. And they had fun playing with lightsabers and talking and being loud and at some point passing out. And then the next day we had his proper birthday party. And then the week continued, camps and sports and work. And as one of my dear sisters, Kemi has said before, being mommy Uber to all these different places had not given me a chance to actually sit down and truly reflect on what reflect at length and in a cohesive way that I could articulate at what the completion of this retreat really was. So, and I will talk about the retreat in another video because there's just too much. But as I've shared before, and I'll link that video at the end, traveling has given me the space to hear myself, heal myself. It's given me a chance to step out of all of my roles and my responsibilities and my shoulda, coulda, woulda, and everyone else's expectations to actually hear for myself. It has given me the opportunity to be just one of the many lights in the universe reflecting other lights. It's given me the chance to play and to be inspired, to be in wonder. So in the title of this, the title of this video is that manifestation is unbelievable. And I cannot take credit for that. I'm sure it's on a shirt somewhere, but one of the amazing sisters on this F Mama Burnout trip, her name is Tiffany, and on IG, because I want to make sure that you can find her, she is Dr. Tiffany with a Y, SLP. And she has lots of wonderful information about education, partnering with your children, partnering with the schools, all those different things. But she had her own mom joke on the trip, which I found hilarious, saying that it was unbelievable that we were in Bali. But it honestly is. Standing in the spaces that I was in, I was floored that the things that I had imagined were touching me, that I was standing in them, that I was eating them, that I was smelling them, that I was watching them, that I was hearing them, things that I had imagined and prayed for. And these things are evident always in our lives, but we're often moving so fast that we can't tell that the next thing we've stepped into was the prayer that we asked for. And now we're standing in it because we're often prompted to look for the next one. But in this case, in June of 2024, I was dealing with my husband's cancer, navigating adult children and their varying degrees of independence or the lack thereof, dependence in and out of the house, graduating a senior in high school who was headed to college and sending her to college even with and against fears that her father and I did share, that I then didn't share, that he still had. So causing those two, watching my mother's dementia advance, trying to find places to support my father as he was as he still is grappling with ways to support her. Still having younger children that were in need, are still, moving through their movements of high school and middle school. And it all felt like an avalanche. And I felt like I couldn't breathe. And I felt like, things were falling in and I could not dig enough dirt out of the way to see. And so a lot of us, mamas, were talking to each other and we were like, there's got to be something. There's got to be something to cause a break. And so, I've quoted Malefe Keasante Jr. before, and he has stated that once you make the observation, it is your obligation to carry it out. And so I know what traveling does for me. I know it gives me, I can't even say a pause or a reset. It does what happens in like Doctor Strange's universe or in the multiverse, where I can step out of this particular part of the multiverse and stand next to myself and say, okay, yeah, she's having a rough time, but I'm going to gather all these things up and then slide back into this and help her out. So in that original text chain, there were maybe 6 to 8 women. Out of that original group of women, only 3 were in this group of 6, including myself. There were only 3 women from that initial group that were in this group of 6, because I keep not counting myself, that headed to Bali. So even the way that Bali was decided, when we sat down, it was like, okay, so what times work best? So, now we have to do, what does everybody else need? And where can I carve out a piece of time for myself? And so it was like, well, no, the birthdays are here and the camps are here. And for me, it was like, well, his treatment ends here. And then he has his own obligations that he has to go to. So that ends here. And then people had anniversaries and other children's birthdays and such and such and such. And so we found this really small window in July Which even as I set it up, I was like, ooh, this was like by the skin of my teeth. This is foolishness, because as I got back, my son's birthday was the very next day. And his question to me as I left was, you're not going to be here for my birthday? And I was like, no, I will be here for your birthday. Hook or crook. I was like, I will be here for your birthday. So even doing all of that, figuring out, okay, this is the window that will work. And then where in the world are we going? And I was taking my daughter to a sleepover at one of her friend's house one night. And I remember it was raining. It was drizzling outside. And I was on IG, and Soulshine did a live. The owners got on and started and did a live walkthrough of their retreat space. Their administrators shared, their welcome team shared, everybody shared. And I'm watching this while I'm in the car trying to give her, I think I'd taken her and then she had forgotten something. I came back home to get it and ran it back over. And I'm watching this the whole time, listening to it in the van, coming back home, watching it. And I was like, Bali, this is where we're going. And I think somewhere in there, like Taraji P. Henson had done her video on, I can't remember the show, but something with these places that bring all these different people peace. And she was talking about Bali, and I was like, okay. So that was that. I was like, okay, so we're scooting along. So even initially I was thinking, okay, I'm going to, put together all these places and dates and resources for these sisters. And I've known for a while that I needed to lead a retreat. I enjoy traveling. I enjoy being with groups of Black folks. I enjoy the wonder of being immersed as much as possible into culture. In something different showing up on the on the phone. Being immersed in culture, and I still need a wellness part of it for me. I do it for myself if I'm on trips and that's not being provided. And that's cool, because that's not everybody's wheelhouse. So a part of me shifted through this process to going from, let me just put these things together for these women, to let me really stand up and be in charge of this retreat. Let me host it. Let me organize it. Let me lead it. And coming up against that, what I've spoken to before of being taught to shrink, being taught to be small, being taught to be amenable, quiet, to disappear, and to be okay with being seen and being in charge. Even as we were standing on the tour, there were different places where they would go, where is Adia? Are you in charge? Yes, I am. And being okay with saying that, which is funny because in our homes, that's all we do. But no one ever asks us, are we in charge? We are feeding everyone. We are making sure everyone has their medicine. We are making sure everyone is clean. We're making sure they have what they need to clean themselves, even if we are not wiping and washing butts, so that they can do it, so that they can wash their clothes, so that they, all the things we are consistently orchestrating. But actually saying to myself, I'm in charge of this, was a development for me. There were, watching things unfold, there were so many things that unfolded that I could not have put into place. There were two women who had to step away from the trip. And for anyone who knows, after a while with the retreat, money doesn't come back to you. You have secured a space. The retreat is depending on that money to run what they have to do for you. So two women had to back out because of their own family responsibilities, and two other women came in, a set of sisters, and it was divine and it was perfect. And their ancestors were, it was just joy. Their ancestors were so pleasing to feel and be around. It was a joy. I could not only have orchestrated their participation, but I could not have orchestrated the way things unfolded in the planning of activities, in the planning of meals, in the planning of just the I can't even say accoutrement, the things that make a gathering beautiful, the additional things that no one really thinks about, like having a flower mandala, being able to organize that, giving them spa bags that had different things that came from the retreat space. meeting the founder of a birthing center that we went to and not knowing she would be there, you know, having access to her books and her signing them. It was just one thing after the next, after the next, after the next that occurred that I couldn't have orchestrated. Seeing another mother and her daughter who were on a graduation trip and getting the chance to hug their necks and talk to this mama who has also been a yoga teacher for me, having the opportunity to connect to places that listservs like Blacks in Bali suggested. It just kept happening, one thing after the next. Um, Being in Bali when we were, the weather was pleasant. When it rained at night. It cooled off the day. It gave us music to sleep to. Um, Being able to receive the amount of culture that we received from people in Bali who were so proud and stood so firmly in their own culture that it was, you know, in order to make a connection to other culture, you have to actually be rooted in your own so you can see the things that line up. And for people to answer us so honestly and joyously about their own tradition, to share the names of goddesses and gods with us, to be able to observe um, people making offerings at their shrines. It was really amazing. And I sat there at different times and I just marveled. I said, wow, like I was thanking my ancestors, thanking the Nsamanfo Nananom, my ancestors and the Bosom, the deities around me for loving me and these women so much, not in comparison to anyone else or in exclusion of anyone else, but just loving us so much that we were allowed to connect to each other, connect to Bali, connect to ourselves. It was mind blowing. It was just mind blowing. Um, there were places where I was concerned about because I knew how much I was in need. I knew how burned out I felt. I knew how exhausted to tears. There were times where I had been carrying out duties in the house and I would just stand there and um, cry and pray. And I was going, okay, so am I in the place where I can give? Do I have enough reserve to create and give to these women so that what they receive is actually meaty enough and sustaining enough that they can build on their own and still receive and give in this ecosystem that is being created, that I'm creating this container for us to be in. And I could. And I was receiving even as I gave, as I was home planning what yoga lessons I was going to teach and share, as I was home trying to decide, do I need to take incense? I didn't. This place was focused on yoga. There was incense everywhere. What do I need to bring with me to be able to share? That there was such a wonderful reciprocal relationship, such a just there's a word that I don't remember, like when animals are taking care of each other, but there was so much back and forth, like the ebb and flow of the water, that it was flawless. The travel went off without a hitch, which that's not often what happens. You have to be prepared to have some hitches, but it went off well, and we were just cared for so well, and it really did speak to receiving back what you put in and receiving back above and beyond what you put in, because there's no, I didn't feel a tit for tat with the universe, like, okay, I'm giving this, give that back. It really did feel like these mamas who nurture and give all the time, sometimes on autopilot, sometimes beyond what we actually have, turning our spiritual pockets inside out and shaking out what there is for everybody else. um, that it came back in multiples, in the rest, in the food, in the yoga, in the atmosphere, in the activities, in just the space itself, in the spirit that was around us, in the laughter, in the singing, in the talking junk, in the everything, in the music. It was everywhere. So I don't have a formula for manifestation, which I think would be kind of ridiculous, because anything that is really good and juicy, you have to figure out for yourself. You have to feel your way through it. There's no prescribed way to attach that. I talked about that in the video on intimacy and sex and closeness, that you don't want okay, step one, step two, A, B, down, left, right, in any of those situations. And what has been shown to me is that moving forward as myself in earnest with good intention and good character really, really, really is rewarded in manifestation, in birthing, in multiplication. So I just wanted to share that. And I will, I didn't share any pictures. I didn't talk about any pictures. The pictures in the thumbnail are really, really dope. And I will probably throw some pictures in this video anyway, even though I didn't talk about them. But yeah, it was great. So this is Reverend Okomfo Mwalimu, sister, yogi, doula, mama, daughter, all the teams. This is Adia saying manifestation really is unbelievable, but it's real. And so keep moving forward, keep pouring of yourself, keep listening, keep sitting still, keep receiving, and not receiving just to give, but receiving to nurture yourself. And then you can't help but to give. I've talked about nature before. So the flowers are not sitting there going, okay, give to me so I can sprout, but they do receive. And when they receive and they bloom, and if they're fruit bearing, the steps just happen. They receive, they are nurtured, they are watered, they bloom, they are pollinated, fruit is created, and the cycle starts all over again. So make sure you are listening so you can go through the natural cycle of reciprocity, giving, and receiving. All right. I will talk to you soon. Take care. Peace.